Hi, this is Dave Starman. I am a member of USA Hockey's Goalie Nation, and our main job in the United States is to make sure that we create a program whereby the non-goalie can become a very effective goaltender coach. I've been coaching for 34 years, whether it be at the youth hockey level and even at the pro level, and I've spent the last 11 years scouting professionally, first for the Toronto Maple Leafs, then the Montreal Canadiens, and last year with NHL Seattle. And goaltending has always been something that has been part of my coaching regimen everywhere I've gone, having been an ex-collegiate goaltender. And one of the things that we have found over many years is coaches sometimes get very afraid to work with their young goalies because they're afraid that they're going to teach them the wrong thing. So they almost avoid them completely. And a few years back, probably about 10 years ago, one of the things that we did within USA Hockey is I was lucky enough to be involved with a group of 4 or 5 guys where we sat down in a room for a couple of days and we redesigned the curriculum for our coaching education program. And in the process, we wound up creating what has been called the American Development Model's Goaltender Development Program. And that program has grown throughout the United States to include over 300 goaltenders whose job is twofold. Number one, it's to make better goalies. But number two, it is to really empower coaches to become better goalie coaches, because we've all seen over the years how much you have worked with other players, but the coaches are just afraid to get their goaltenders involved in anything goalie specific if they never played the position. We all know sometimes it's really hard to find a goaltender that lives in your neighborhood that wants to come down and dedicate the time to working with your young goalies. Sometimes you live in a rural area where it could take a goalie coach an hour just to get to your rink and back and forth. So what we want to do is empower coaches to be goalie coaches, or in a lot of the organizations that I've ever been a part of on a youth organization, when a parent comes to me and says, "Who's your goalie coach?" everybody in the organization can say, "I'm a goalie coach." And that has been something we have found a tremendous amount of success with. And that is something that we're going to work on today, trying to empower you, the coach who has never, ever stopped the shot in your life, to become a person, a coach that can become not only a goalie coach, but also a goalie mentor. So the objectives here are in very different fashion, and we're going to go through a lot of different things. But number one is we want you to lose that fear of working with your goalies. Get it out of your mind. It's easier than you think. What you're not going to do is maybe teach the goaltender technical things, but what you can do is facilitate a practice plan, 5, 10, 15 minutes where you're working just with your goalies, where you can actually help them with their stance, how they move, how they stop shots, do they pass the eyeball test, and we'll be able to train your eyes as to what to look for when working with a young goalie, and put them into drill situations, both skill and technique and game situational, that can help their game. So you're going to become better goalie coaches. You're also going to create that atmosphere that the goalies want to be in. Let's be honest about it. A lot of goaltenders' biggest fears going to practice is that they're not going to get any work. They're not going to get any attention. And I think that over the years, we have really learned that goalies are players too. And if they're on your team, it's your responsibility as the coach to know how to work with every player in your team, not just your forwards, not just your defensemen, but your goalies are an important part of your group. And as we like to say, if you want to become a great coach, get a great goalie. We also say in youth hockey, if you want to become a great coach, develop a great goalie. And that's part of what we're going to be discussing. Well, how is this possible? How do we do this? Well, I think when you look along other sports, and this is one of the great lessons that I've learned just following other sports and reading up on this topic, when you look at the NCAA, especially college football, you've got position coaches that never played the position that they're teaching. So you might have a linebacker coach that was a running back. You might have a guy working with the offensive line that worked on the defensive line. On a basketball coaching staff, forwards work with guards, guards work with forwards. It all changes. Now, I know with Major League Baseball, everybody always says, well, the pitchers are a specialized position and their pitching coach is an ex-pitcher. But the manager, at some point, has got to work with the pitching staff too. So there's always a crossover in where you can go to. And you'll see in my next little point here, with some of the names I put up there, the Allaire brothers are famous because they've created the modern goaltending style that we all see today. Neither one of them were NHL goalies. As a matter of fact, neither one of them were goalies at any level. They were a pair of kinesiologists who studied the position to figure out how to play it better. They're the ones who realized that the bigger the goalie you have, the better they're going to cover the net and the better technique that you can impart to them. But it didn't come from playing the position, it came from studying the position. Warren Stralos, long time considered the dean of USA Hockey goaltending and American goaltending. When I was at the Baltimore Skipjacks in the early 1990s, Warren was the goalie coach of the Washington Capitals. I used to watch Warren come down to the Baltimore Arena and get on the ice in his work boots and his vest and his hat, no stick, no gloves, no skates. And he used to work with the goalies there, and we had several good ones: Jimmy Rivnak, Sean Simpson, Oli Kolzik, who won a Vezina, Byron Dafoe, who won a Vezina, and later Jim Carey. We had some real good goaltenders that came through Baltimore, and Warren, without ever putting on his skates, was able to get out there and work with those goaltenders. Mitch Korn has developed Pekka Rinne in Nashville, worked with Braden Holtby with the Washington Capitals, won a Stanley Cup there, and has done wonderful work with the New York Islanders, whether it be Robin Lehner, Simeon Varlamov, Thomas Greiss. Mitch Korn is considered the elite goaltending coach in the NHL right now, was never a big-name goaltender. Didn't play the position into a high level. But the last one's the most interesting, and that's Grant Stanbrook. Grant Stanbrook was a legendary assistant coach at the NCAA level for a long time. His two longest stints at the University of Wisconsin and the University of Maine, where he helped develop, and he was not a goalie, but he was the goalie coach in both of those places. He helped develop some names I think a lot of NHL fans would be very familiar with: Mike Richter, Curtis Joseph at Wisconsin, and then Jimmy Howard and Ben Bishop at the University of Maine. So I think we could see you don't necessarily have to have been a big-time goalie or even played the position into a long-standing career to be able to understand it and be able to teach it, especially the Allaire brothers and Grant Stanbrook. And the last one, I threw this website on for you. Make sure you track it down and take a look at it. It is really good, and it's something that we are really proud of in Goalie Nation. And that is our own goaltending website at USA Hockey. There's a lot of stuff on there regarding age-appropriate training, drills, how to work with your goalie. It is really tailored towards the non-goaltender coach to be able to effectively work with goalies. Now, one thing that we've been noticing around the United States, around Canada, there are a lot of rinks and a lot of practices going on still to this day where the practices are not benefiting the goalies, even with the best of intention. Take a look here, and you'll see a couple of examples. And this is a video that we shot at USA Hockey where the goaltenders are getting a lot of work, but they're not getting quality work. Take a look at drill number 1 going on here. It's a 2-on-0. One after another. The second group is starting before the first group even finishes. You think the goalie is getting a chance to get reset? You think the goaltender is getting a lot out of this? All the goalie is doing right now after the first 2 shots, he's surviving or she's surviving. Now take a look. You got the kid in the upper corner. Guys are just fooling around in front of him. And the kid in the middle, he's not getting up. He's not getting reset. He's not following the path of the puck. All that's happening is there are a million shots coming at him, and he is swimming around the crease, diving around, not really getting any quality work. And as we like to say, the quality component is much more important than a quantity important. It reminds me of a great story that John Van Biesbroek told me, even at the NHL level. John and Mike Richter were goaltending partners with the New York Rangers. He said there were times where they would face 30, 40, 50 shots in a drill. The drill would never stop. After those first 10 shots, all they were doing was surviving. And if you take a look at this drill here, here's a little shot to the front of the net. Now they're going the other way. Here come 3 shooters, one after another. They go wide. Look at the goalie. Goes down on the first shot, stays down. Second shot stays down. Third shot stays down. So there's really no activity for the goalie in terms of actual game scenario, and you're not being able to work on your technique. Moving to this screen. Take a look at what's going on here, and you'll see the captions that are done for you. Everything is done with the goaltender set. So he's facing the puck. He or she challenges out. He or she faces the shot, then gets back and gets set again. So this drill is going really well. You can facilitate this drill no matter who you are because the goaltender is getting the proper reps. Now watch what's starting to happen. Now all of a sudden the drills are starting too quick. The players are picking up the pace so they get more reps in. When that happens, is the goaltender allowed to get set and follow the path of the puck? No. Is the goaltender now being put in a situation where they're not getting the full effect of the drill? Yes, that's the problem. So one thing that you want to do as the coach that is facilitating these drills is to be able to make sure that you are watching what's going on, telling the players, number one, don't start a new action until the goalie is set. You, as the coach, are determining where you want the goalie set from. Do you want them on the post? Or do you want them in a butterfly to start? Do you want them at a different spot and challenging out? You determine it. You're the coach. But you've got to make sure that the players understand that the next action does not start until the goalie is ready. Because what are you doing in these first 10, 15 minutes of practice where you've got the goalie by yourself? You're working on technique. For them, it is an important time, whether they're 8U, 10U, 12U, 14U, and up. This is an important time for them. There's some trial and error going on here, which hopefully leads to trial and success. There is a specific thing that you as the coach want to do that maybe your goaltender struggled with the following weekend. Maybe they had a hard time with shots on the ice between their knees. Well, you may want to design a drill similar to what you just saw, where you're telling the shooters, get your pass, let the goalie come out, and fire one right between the knees so that they can work on getting their knees closed, making some saves, and regaining some of the confidence they might have lost in the following weekend. You're the facilitator, but in this case, the technique is what you're working on, not the pace, not the amount of reps, but the quality of reps that you are giving the goaltender that is in the net. Which leads us into the next portion, and that is there are two different ways that you can have your practice habits. Number one is blocked, and the other one is random and varied. Blocked is specific, and that's kind of what we were just talking about, the technique-based component. Random varied is more game situational. So let's go through both of them real quick so we get a good understanding of where we are here. In the blocked scenario, you got a couple of components. Number one, you're working on one thing. So what did we just discuss? In the last scenario, the hypothetical was you're going to put your goalie in a scenario where they're going to work on shots 5-hole so that they can close it up and be more confident there. So that's a single skill, technique-based drill that you are creating for them in whatever way you want to create it. And you as the coach, you could do all the shooting yourself. You could put the goalie on the post and have the goalie come out and you can shoot. Now, obviously, if you're shooting at a 10-year-old, you're not ripping shots. And if you're shooting at a 16-year-old, you want to put a little mustard on it so that they're forced to react with some speed. But the bottom line is you're working on their technique. And you can get a lot of repetition here. Just make sure that you always ask the goalie, do you have any wind? Can you breathe? If they can't breathe, their technique is going to break down. If their technique breaks down, then you're not doing anything other than helping them burn calories, and that doesn't help anybody in this situation. On the other side of it, the random and the varied. Now you're working on a lot of different components. This to me would be small area games. This to me would be a multifaceted drill where there might be a second or a third shot. This might be where there's pace. Now, if you're going to do this, number one is make sure your goalie is starting from a set spot. That still goes, but you can only go maybe 5 shots hard because at that point, you're really going to bag the goalie. You're going to have to change him out. So having both kids there or even 3 kids there would be something that you would want to focus on in that scenario. That, like I said, is more the game situational style of drill as opposed to the blocked where you're only working on one thing. So what are we looking for? You're the non-goalie. You're the coach. You're running this thing. You got 10 and 12-year-olds that are coming to you and hoping that you can help them out. There's a lot of things you want to look for, and number one is a good stance. And a lot of them, you'll see them in their stance, and you will know from your years in the game whether or not that stance looks good. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures in a second of what to look for. I'll give you a guide. But this is something that you can take a shot of this screen and put it on your phone. And when you're out there working with your young goalies, use this as a reference material. Take a look down at it. Okay, you're looking at your phone and you're checking all of these things. The balance component is a fun one for the goalies. You get them in their stance, and you skate over to them. But you might want to push down on their shoulder. You might want to push their stick, push their goal pads, lean on them a little bit. And if they can hold their stance, if they can fight you off, they're balanced. If you push on the shoulder or push on their back a little bit and they fall or they lose their balance, that means that they're not set up properly in their stance, and you're going to need to work with them to correct what their proper stance should be. Gloves, I'm going to show you pictures of everything that's coming up here with the gloves and where they should be, where your weight should be distributed, and how it should look. But remember, I'm going to give you this little video right here. This should make you laugh a little bit. It's from the movie My Fellow Americans. The guy in the middle is looking to his left and right, realizing the 2 former presidents of the United States are standing next to him in a men's room. But it's the conversation that happens here, which should always jar you to remember how important the stance is.
How's it going?
Are you them? I mean, are you the real guys?
Oh, yeah, we are.
Oh, man. I think you're awesome.
No fair peeking.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm just kidding. I think you're doing a great job, too. Nice stance. That's important.
And that is the key to goaltending is the stance. So let's go over the stance a little bit so you just get a good view of what this all looks like. This is a video we once again produced at USA Hockey, and it goes through the basic goaltending stance with the young goalies, which most of you will probably be working at, starting with this component right here, the finger. Way back when I was younger, Vic came out with a stick. It was called the Curtis Curve. And the Curtis Curve actually had a notch in the front of the paddle, the wide part of the stick, or some people refer to it as the barrel, where you could actually put your index finger in the notch like a trigger to hold the stick better. And then it had a crazy curve at the top so that if it fell down, you could pick it up. It didn't last very long, but it accentuated the point of the goalie making sure that their trigger finger is against the barrel and not holding on to the thin part of the stick, the shaft, like you'd be holding a tennis racket or a baseball bat. So you want to start with that part of it right there, good finger support, so you can hold the stick properly. There's a good grip right down on the top of the paddle is where you want your hands. Now take a look at the stance here. Really nice stance. Look at the feet. The feet are what you should be focusing on for your young goalies, 10U, 12U. We all have watched the pro guys that are wide open. Feet are way far apart. You can't do that with a 10 and a 12-year-old. Why? Because they don't have any groins. Their groins are not strong enough. You're inviting an injury. So the kid in New York who watches Henrik Lundqvist and then comes to you all wide feet apart and says, well, this is the way that I want to play. This is the way I see Hank play. You're going to have to correct that. You're going to have to make sure with your 10 and your 12s that their stance is shoulder width apart to start. They can get wider later, but not right now. So for the youth coach, you're working with your goalie, it is vital that you make sure you check to see where the feet are. So feet are shoulder width apart. Look at the gloves right now. Gloves are in a great position because you've got one glove off to the side of the pad. The catch glove is in what we call the 3 o'clock position. It's open to the side, and you're not covering covered space. I'll refer to John Van Beesbroek again. John was all of 5'8", but if you look at pictures of John late in his career, once the equipment got a little bit bigger, he learned how to maximize how big he could be in his stance by not covering covered space. And at 5'8", he covered the same amount of net as a guy that was about 6'3", just by the way he looked. So as we finish up on the video, you see it from the side, shoulders, over knees, over the balls of the feet, chest is up so you can see the logo. Make sure you can see the logo on your goalie. Eddie Belfour, when he first came into the league, you never saw the logo. It's important that you can see that logo chest up, and that's a good athletic way to sit in your stance. As we take a look to a side view here, we'll start with the smaller goalie. That's a 10U. Take a look at his catch glove. His catch glove is up in what I call the high hello position. We don't want that. We want the catch glove in the 3 o'clock position like we just showed you. So first thing you want to correct when you see these kids, make sure the glove is out to the side, not up there where they're going to have to bring it down to catch as opposed to bringing it up to catch, which is the normal way of doing things. So you see that the stick blade is in front of the skates. It's tilted back towards the goalie. So in case of a low shot, anything comes along the ice, right between the knees, that puck might hit the stick and come right up, hit the goalie in the chest so they can hold on to it. You see from the reverse side, once again, this glove is way up high, but the stance is nice. This is my goalie right here. His name is Keegan Groom. He's playing for our U15 team with the Long Island Gulls. Keegan's going to be a real good goalie. This is a stance that we had to correct a little bit. He was a little bit over his toes. As you can see, his shoulders are way out in front of his toes. He needs to be sitting back a little bit more so he can make some saves. Looking at it from the front view, once again, you know how to correct now the high glove position. You know how to check to see the sticks are in a good spot. Right here, this stick should be back a little bit so that it's covering the 5-hole. From the back, these feet are wider than the shoulder because he's 15. These feet are even with the shoulder because he is 10. And the goalie coach who ran this clinic, an old friend of mine named Mike Orth, who has been a goaltending coach legend here on Long Island, has done a real good job with making sure that these goalies are fundamentally sound. And it all comes down to being age appropriate. You're going to teach goalies different things depending on what age you're working with them on. This guy right here, that's Ben Bishop at 6'7". This kid right here is 4'7". Now we put the mini net behind him in this picture, I think for great effect, because when he is full size, hopefully he will look in the net like that, much like Bishop does here. But if you're working with a goalie in a situation like this, and coaches, keep this in mind, there's no shame with the young goalies working on the mini nets for a couple of reasons. Number one is this. If the goalie has to worry less about pucks going in, it's one thing away from their mind. If they can play in the small net where they know basically anything shot near them is going to be stopped or anything shot just wide of them is going to miss the net, they don't have to worry about pulling pucks out of the nets every once in a while, and it builds their confidence a little bit. They're making saves, pucks are not going in. It's a mental thing, but it really, really helps them. So for the 8Us, the 10Us, you can put them in these mini nets for some of these drills. That's okay because they get a good idea of what their net presence is. A couple of drills for you, and we've got some video here that we're going to show you to to help accentuate some of these drills that, once again, you can set up for these guys and gals and make staples of their everyday practice workout, whether it's before practice, whether it's just when you get on the ice and everybody's out there shooting pucks off the glass. These guys can set up, or gals can set up, you could set up with them and observe for them and watch them. And I'm going to give you another thing to do with them in a second. But this is a pretty simple one right here. And what you're looking for is technique. Does the goaltender's glove stay down and level? You can see the kid we're working with here, his glove's a little bit up and it's flying. Now you see the recovery drill. Go down, get back up, good glove positioning here, good fluidity. And he or she is leading with their goal stick. You see the stick leading? See the stick is out in front of the body, so the 5-hole is always covered. Those are things to check. Stick is down, balance, up, down, nice butterfly, chest is up. The goalie is not sitting on the back of his or her skates. The butterfly position is proper to prevent injury. And these are all small little things that you can do to set them up. You could also put them in the forepuck, and you could point to the puck you want them to go to, or you tell them to go every other puck. But you're checking the same things: glove positioning, eyes up, knees bent, balance, proper push, hitting their marks. When they get to the next puck, are they squaring to the puck, or are they off center on the puck? Which is something you want to talk about when you talk about a goalie hitting their marks. Where are they landing? Are they coming to a nice balanced stop? And can they breathe? Make sure they don't go too long so that their stride and their technique doesn't break down. So some warm-up drills that you can use in practice. These are before practice drills. These are in practice drills. If your coach is going to the whiteboard and doing something, or going through some system, and even with the older guys, you can pull the goalies aside and do some other stuff. Here's, once again, our 10 or 12U, the ladder drill. Just good turning and shuffling. Once again, leading with the stick. There's a little T-push. T-push. Look at the goalie's gloves. Gloves are moving in concert with the body. Watch the big guy now. Same deal. Glove is following right along. It's open. It's out. It's never facing down on the ice, so it's always in a position where they can catch a puck. Eyes are up, squaring to every puck. Nice and fluid, making saves and getting up. You can walk them up and down the ladder. It's a good technique drill. It's a good conditioning drill. Most of all, it's a really good movement drill. Then you move over. Wish we shot at Miami University, and I thank them for the footage just a few years back. This is a simple drill. It's a technique drill. You're going to look at this thing and say, wow, this is really simple. But look at what the goalie's working on here. Just squaring up. Shots are low on the ice. All this goalie is working on is using their stick in front of their goal pads to drive pucks wide of the net, and then following. See the follow on the rebound? That's another important technique, coaches, that you need to make sure you're working with your goalies on, and that is having them follow the puck. Don't quit on just the fact that the puck got stopped. Follow where it goes. So simple shot, 5-hole, up, be squared to the rebound, and be set. Really simple, really easy, but once again allows you to facilitate something for them, and you can make some pointers on them in terms of, are you following? If there's a rebound loose in front, scream to them, cover the rebound, cover the rebound. They know. The beauty of this is they know that you're going to allow them to get up, get reset, and face the next shot, so they are not going to cheat or take an easy way out by not going after a puck and wasting energy. So you're building a lot of really good habits for them in terms of finishing off the drill nice and strong. So we talked about using some tools, and here are a couple tools that I want you to take a look at, and these are things that we've just picked up as we've gone over the year. I remember being a goalie instructor back in the 80s where we had the big VHS camera and had to take that on the ice with the TV, and then you pop the tape out and go to the side station, or you hook the camera up to the TV, and the cable would frazz out on you. There's all kinds of troubles back then, but we got through it. The iPhone or the cell phone today is considered to be a bigger piece of technology and a stronger piece of technology than the computer room that NASA used to land a man on the moon. Think about the power that you hold in your hand and what you can do with your phone. Take it on the ice with you. Put it in airplane mode so you're not getting calls, but take it out there with you, and you can film the goalie doing these drills. Then as they're recovering, you could show them the video. Nothing helps a kid better, any position, than seeing themselves doing it. And the lack of use of video, I think, at the youth level, sometimes slows down the development of our players. For you as the coach, the non-goalie, the more video you accumulate on your goalies, the better it is, because you're going to start to recognize patterns. But also for them, show them what they're doing. Walk them through it. And you know what? Have them walk you through it. Ask them what they see in their stance. Ask them what they see that feels good, or what they see now that they're seeing themselves, what they might need to fix. iPads are great for this too. A friend of mine made an iPad protector that you could put on the ice. He made it out of broken hockey sticks and some plexiglass, and you could slide it right on the ice, and you put it in the reverse mode so the goalie can come out and see where they are in the net because the iPad is facing them. So it's almost like looking in a mirror for them. They can see how they look in the net, how much net they're protecting, where they need to be to cover the most net. Excuse me. You can also show them from a ground perspective what the puck sees coming off the stick as opposed to what the eyes of the shooter sees, to emphasize to them how important it is to square up to the puck and not the shooter. The goalie protractor is a great little invention. I give USA a lot of credit for this one. If you go on the USA goaltending website, there's a video that says goalie protractor. What it is it's a hiking clip, 7 feet of thread or thin rope, and a piece of glass chalk, which is something you could buy in an art store, which people used to draw on their cars when they're going on a road trip with their team, go team, that kind of thing. That's called glass chalk. And if you use that, you can make a goalie protractor, because sometimes you're going to want to move the nets off to the side of the ice. Maybe you're going to play a small area game in the anywhere you go. You need to use a goalie protractor because the goaltender should always see where they are in the crease and where they are pertaining to the net. And then when you do these little goaltending sessions, I've always used 2 to 3 drills, 10 minutes at the beginning of practice to do it with. Sometimes you can do it at the end of practice, but they're a little bit more tired. So I've always found if the head coaches or maybe the head coach gives the assistant coach the team and to do some skill work, and you could take your goalie separate, 10 minutes of this every practice goes a long way to making sure that these kids really develop. A couple more drills just to show you here. These are things, once again, you can go and work on. Simple drill. So now we're adding a little bit more of a game component to it, but you're also making sure that the reps are good. Goalie's ready, slide across the crease. This is just a simple thing to work on a butterfly push. Stick is down, glove is up, save is made. The goaltender's following through. You see it from the other side of it. What are you watching for? Is the goaltender getting a good lateral push-off? Is the goaltender leading with their stick? Does the goaltender's glove sit above their pad on those shots to the glove side? And are they resetting to make sure that they get across and following their rebound? Real simple on one side. Same thing on the other side. You're adding a component into the drill. This is a second shot drill. So goaltender squares up. Now you're adding a part. One movement, shot, second shot using a butterfly push and finishing off. Stick is on the ice. Chest is up. Good butterfly, not too low, and moving off to make a second save. Here it is from the other side. And these are ones that I generally like to keep the puck on the ice so that the goalie can work on using their stick to drive pucks off to the side and not allow second shots. The reason that I bring that point up, and one of the things you want to emphasize to your goalies about being good with their sticks and anything low on the ice, driving those pucks off to the side. Think about if you play the game as a defenseman. Loose pucks in the front of the net. Those things you're going to take a beating on trying to clear them. You play a 60-game season. You figure you eliminate 5 or 6 extra hacks and whacks a game by a goalie with a sloppy crease. That's a pretty good thing in terms of your longevity as a player. If goalies get those pucks off to the side, instead of you having to battle and grind in there for them, you're going to have more energy as the games go on. So working with the goalies on making sure those pucks are off to the side, good little drill to do. We want good habits. And if you take a look at this one, I love this. I'm a tennis player as well as a hockey coach, and I love bringing the tennis balls out on the ice. The younger kids love this, and I mean love this. They love when the tennis balls come out. They bounce. They're fun. It's not the puck. It's game situational, but it's kind of not. They have a good time with the tennis balls, and tennis balls give you a really good bounce. They come off the wall pretty hard. So if you create this drill over here, off the wall, make your save, cover it. Simple drill. Off the wall, make the save, cover it. You put the little guys in the mini nets. You put the older guys in the big nets, have them track, follow, look at the good stick positioning off to the side of the net to try to intercept the pass. Now you can also do it throwing the ball off the wall. I have a drill where I stand in front of my goalies with pucks, and I throw pucks at them and bounce it right in front of them so they get crazy rebounds that they have to follow. But the tennis ball is great. It just brings some levity. It brings a different thing. And for the goalies, it gives them a different stimuli to react to. On the other side, this is Joe Woll, who was playing for our national team development program at the time, draft pick at Toronto, played on our World Junior teams, played at Boston College. Good habits, and that is finishing the drill hard and trying to make every save. Take a look here. I hit the wrong one for you. Take a look here. Watch the saves he's making. First shot, looks for a rebound. Second shot, makes a save. Third shot, doesn't quit. Fourth shot, doesn't quit. Stays in every drill and recovers. Next rep, save, stays with it. Doesn't take a shot off. He's playing in some game situational. This is kind of varied random. But every drill, he's finishing off. His battle level's high. His compete level's high. No quit on the puck. No, I made the first save. I'm not going to worry about the rebound. It's a controlled environment that the coach has created to allow the goalie to be successful. Look again here. Moving around the crease. Following the puck. No quit. Finishing off everything's hard and smart. And I'm going to give you a second part to this too. Small area games. Small area games are the goalie's best friend. And here's why. A lot of coaches love 5-on-5 full ice scrimmages. And I know we're getting into a lot of 3-on-3 cross ice scrimmages. That's awesome. But the smaller the area that you utilize for your goalies in some of these games, the more actions that they have. And just by them moving, you're helping them develop better because they are fully engaged mentally and physically. So let's play, you play a 10-minute game, 3-on-3, where you tighten the nets a bit. So they may be 15, 20 feet apart. You put them on the side of the ice, or maybe you just do 2-on-2 out of the corner with the net on the face-off dot facing that corner. Here's what's going to happen. You play that for 60 seconds, and those 60 seconds, that goalie is probably going to make 180 decisions. They might make 3 decisions per second. Where's the puck? Where do I want to be? How far out do I need to be? Here it comes. What save am I using? Where's the rebound? What do I want to do? How do I get up? Do I stay down? Do I get up? Where do I want to move? Do I butterfly push? Do I use my stick to poke check? Do I want to jump on the rebound now? Do I want to clear it off to the side? All of these things come into play, and you're helping them become better decision makers and get much better involved in game situations because you're putting them into an area where they can let the game be the teacher. Small area games in a hard competition can really help your goalies. It's their best friend because they become most active. You play 5-on-5 full ice, that's fine, and your team's going to need some of that, no question. But if you can get your kids into a 2-on-2 small area scrimmage for a good chunk of practices, or if you're going to do goalie-specific stuff, you're really going to help your goalie out because their decision-making process really ramps up. 5-on-5 full ice, they may make 5 decisions a minute. Small ice, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, once again, they may make 3 decisions per second, and that is going to be a huge component for their development. So let's go through some of the guidelines that we have here. First off this, every drill, goalie's got to be shot ready. Remember with those high-energy ones, you can't leave them in there that long because you're going with survival now as opposed to technique. I love the compete aspect. Keep going. Put parameters in there. Make sure that they know this is game situational. Their job is not just to stop it. Their job is to continue to play it until you call the next drill. For the younger goalies and coaches, we talked about what the stance looked like. Make sure that before every action, you make sure that they look good, that they are ready. They're balanced, they're set, stick, gloves, everything. Do them a favor. Hold them accountable to their own stance so that they can be successful building that habit of always being ready. The challenge, the feedback, ask them what they want to do. You know, sometimes a goalie may come to you and say, I need to work on this, I want to work on that, or I love this drill. Do it with them. Do it with her. Let them have some fun. Let them look forward to coming to the rink. Make them excited to be out there. Now, age appropriate. This is something that I did a presentation on for the coaches site a couple of years back on age appropriate practices. It's no different for the goalies in terms of what you're working on. So make sure you keep a guideline for yourself, whatever age group that you have, that you know how to, what the goalie is responsible for and really what you want to get into. You don't want to go further than you need to with them because now you're just complicating what should be somewhat simple and somewhat obvious. You're seeing here a little bit of a template of what we like to do in USA Hockey with our goaltending and how we develop along. Let me go to 8U for a second because I know we have a lot of 8U coaches that are out there. For 8U, goalie du jour, everybody should get a chance to try to play the position. First off, we need more goalies. But second of all, everybody should get a chance to because there might be some kids who just thrive on it and they're going to want to stay with it. There's a set of equipment called Quick Change, which we use a lot here in the States, and I'm sure is being used in Canada a ton also. Quick Change equipment is really simple to get on and off. The chest and arm protector come as part of a jersey. The leg pads come off in 2 seconds, and within about a minute 30, you can have helmet, gloves, chest arm protector, and new goalie pads, which go over the other kid's equipment. right on a new goalie, and you can change your goalies in practice 2 or 3 times if you want, and each goalie should get a chance to play cross-ice mites in goal to get an opportunity to play it. And as you get older, that's when things start to change. So here's some information for you to read through and to take a look at. And again, this is all on the USA Hockey Goaltending website as well. But just some important things. With your 10U, you really want to get these kids moving. Movement is the key in their C-cuts, back and forth, sideways shuffle, T-glides. You're not getting technique specific here. You want to get them just to learn how to stop the puck, how they use their pads, how to get down into a butterfly safely and properly, and how to get up, how their equipment feels on their body, how the extra weight affects their center of gravity. For them, it's about repetition and equipment just so they can get used to what the stuff feels like and how they're supposed to be using it. For the 12Us, again, we're going to try to pump things up a little bit. I think one of the lost arts, coaches, that is out there is goalies going to get pucks. And I've often joked, I've seen practices where kids are skating goal line to goal line, and the goalies are skating these drills too. And people say to me, should the goalies skate the same drills as the skaters? No, I don't think so. The only time I've ever seen a goalie go end-to-end is in a brawl, and we happen to discourage that in USA Hockey and Hockey Canada. So I would say having your goalie skating end-to-end is not what you want to do. But if you can get them skating from the goal crease to the face-off dot and back, the goal crease to the corner and back, the goal crease to the lower part of the face-off circle and back, the goal crease to the hash marks and back. Why do you want to do that? Because that's where pucks get dumped into, and that's where they can go to start making plays to stop a puck for their defensemen, make life a little easier for their Ds coming back, learn how to go out and get it, pull it back in, set it so a D can come and grab it and go on his merry way or her merry way up the ice. So that part starts to add into 12U, so build that in as part of your practice regime. You can dump pucks to them, make them skate, track it down, and go back to the net. You don't need to be an ex-goalie to design that drill. And it all comes back to the ABCs of athleticism, balance, and control. Now, getting up to the 14 and the 16Us, that's where you start to ramp it up a little bit more. The catch glove today is not the catch glove of the 80s and 90s. So the one that guys like Hextall and Barrasso and Van Beesbrook and even Marty Brodeur, when he first started, it's not the same glove. It's much bigger. It's a little clunkier. It's a little more awkward. So the goalies of today aren't firing pucks like Hextall did, because it was almost like wearing a first baseman's glove. But you've got to make sure that you get them into drill reps where they are going out to handle the puck and actually starting to move it to their teammates. So trying to hit a defenseman who's coming back, or they come out, set it, move it cross ice, and try to set up a little bit of a breakout. Teams changing, go out, get a puck, move it quickly into the neutral zone. 14U is that age group where you need to start pushing your goalies to move pucks and become a puck stopper, puck mover, and someone who comes down to shorten the defensive zone for Ds that are coming back. Off the ice, great story. Fellow coach once told me, he said he had a 16-year-old high school goalie. Kid was having trouble catching the puck. The coach said to him, and this is in Maryland where baseball's popular, he said, well, didn't you play baseball as a kid? He said, my dad didn't want me to play baseball. I didn't think my hand-eye coordination was very good. And I laughed because what's goaltending? It's a lot of hand-eye coordination. The art of catching the puck these days, I think, has gone a little south. I think one of the reasons is a lot of our kids don't play baseball anymore. Now, part of it could be the Euros who don't play a ton of baseball anyway. I get that. But here in North America, where baseball is still a popular sport, it is important that kids play Little League. We want multi-dimensional athletes. We want multi-sport athletes. Have your sons or daughters play Little League. Have them go be a catcher. Have them go be a first baseman. Or, if they don't want to do that, go get yourself a baseball glove, get them one, go out and have a catch. Throw ground balls to them. Bounce balls in front of them, make them catch it. Throw them pop flies. Get that confidence in their hand-eye coordination that they could track an object into their glove hand, and the confidence that that glove can catch a projectile. Catching these days, I think, is one of the weaker skills we have in our goalies, and it's got to improve, so play catch. And the other sports that you're seeing here are wonderful for goaltender development. So as a coach, if you can convince your kids to be doing some of this away from the rink, that is great. Tennis is tremendous. Surfing, I grew up in a beach area, so surfing for us was second nature. And you want to talk about anticipation and reading and reacting. Surfing might be the ultimate read and react sport that's out there. Plus, the balance and the core strength you develop from it is awesome. Lacrosse, soccer, swimming is one of those sports that's a full body workout, all things that I think enhance your goaltender from an off-ice perspective. So that's a little something for the coaches out there that were not goaltenders to chew on. We went through some drills. We gave you a website where you can check on some things that you can work on. There are all kinds of goaltending practice plans that are out there for you on these websites. And my advice to you is this: be confident in what you're doing, but be creative and be courageous to go explore the position. When you're watching an NHL game, watch what the goalies are doing. See what they look like. Go to some youth games. Watch the goalies. See what they look like. Use the reference material that's been provided to you. See what they look like. The 10U is different than the 12U is different than the 14U. They all look different in the net. They all bring different components and strengths. See what they are. The more reference material that is out there for you to look at, the better it's going to be for you. But lose your fear of working with your young goalies because you weren't one, because you can be such a vital part of their development, and you don't need to have played the position to do so. And remember this: goalies are not targets. I worked for a hockey school way back when, and that was the theme of the hockey school. Goalies are not targets. They're not. They're not in there to get shot at. They're players just like everybody else. I've always been a big believer, you pick them, you play them. But also, if you pick them, you absolutely have a right to make sure that they develop and that they get the same work as everybody else does. And goalies tend to get shafted a little bit when it comes to the attention that they need to become better players. So if you don't have a designated goalie coach on the ice with you at all times, head coaches, assistant coaches, put your heads together, find 5 or 10 minutes while one coach is doing one thing for the other coach to grab the goalies and do some goaltender development. If you're doing that 2-3 times a week over the course of a 26-week season, imagine, A, how much better that kid's going to get, B, how much more important those kids are going to feel, C, how much better you're going to get working at them year after year, and D, the success that your program can have by not have to be relying on the goalie-specific person to come in, but knowing that you could do a lot of the groundwork, which makes what they do that much easier. So on behalf of all the young goalies and their families that are out there, I thank you for what you can now do for all of your young goalies across North America and Canada. Have a great season when it starts, and thanks for watching the Coach's Site. We love what we do here.